Welcome to the latest Motley Fool Scoreboard. I'm on in Chalk Balloon. We've got longtime fools, Matt Frankel and Travis Hoyam, giving a 1 to 10 rating and kicking the tires on a top 200 stock in the Moneyball database. It's Donaldson Company, ticker symbol DCI. It's a new one for me, maybe for you as well. But I think Travis could technically walk to it from his house, maybe. Be a long walk. Is that true, Travis?
That's technically true. Yeah, I could.
The Minnesota company. First, we'll rate the strength of Donaldson's business, including factors like industry and competition. A 10 is invincible. A 1 is hopeless. Matt's at an 8. Travis, you're at a 9.
Yeah, this is an incredibly important company that you potentially interact with almost every day without knowing it. So they're making things like filters for industrial equipment. So when you have adhesives and glues and you're in an industrial factory, that needs to be filtered to make sure that it is exactly what you want it to be actually coming out of your process. Those filters are typically coming from companies like Donaldson. They, at least back in the day, had a huge deal with Caterpillar. So again, a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment. You don't want a filter that's, kind of second rate. They're making premium products for industrial processes. That's really the way to think about it, serving kind of all sorts of markets there. I just think it's one of those businesses that it's not sexy. It's not going to get a lot of attention. Most of you probably have never heard of this company, but it is very important for the economy. So that's why I went pretty high here.
Yeah, I went with an 8. They're a clear leader in their core business, like Travis said. The sales growth has been kind of underwhelming, but there is some promising areas of the business. Life sciences, for example, is one part of their business that's growing really, really quick. So it's a strong business, but nothing that really jumps off the page.
For management, a 10 is Warren Buffett. A 1 is Homer Simpson. Once again, Matt's at an 8 and Travis is at a 9.
Yeah, high here again, nothing that really jumps off the page. One of the things I wanted to highlight is they do have rules in their governance that the executives, board of directors, all the way down to EVP level at least, have to own a certain amount of shares of stock. So the CEO, for example, has to hold 5 times their salary in shares of Donaldson. So aligns all the incentives with shareholders, even at the EVP level, that's 3 times your salary. So everybody who works there is making decisions about the future of the company, has the same incentives as we do as investors. I love that structure. Like I said, this is not a management team that's going to impress anybody with a conference call or something like that, or a presentation, but they're making filters, so they're doing what they should be doing.
Yeah, I agree with Travis. I gave it an 8. No leaders that really jump off the page to me. But for a filter company to keep up with the S&P 500 over like the biggest tech boom in my lifetime, that's impressive execution, and you really can't discount that.
Beautiful. For financials, a 10 is a fortress. A 1 is yikes. Both of you finally agree at a 7, Travis.
Solid, profitable, stable, nothing exciting, but that has a place in everybody's portfolio. So that's why you want to own something like a filtration company.
I'd push back a little bit. The growth has been really underwhelming, and I would like to see a filtration company at least keep up with inflation when it comes to revenue growth. And they're kind of not right now. I mean, 3% revenue growth in their latest fiscal year. They expect another 3% this year. That's in real terms, in terms of like inflation-adjusted growth. Their revenue is essentially flat. Strong buybacks. They bought back 4% of their shares in the past year. $180 million in cash, $630 million in debt. It's fine. That's totally reasonable for a company of this size, but nothing that great.
Matt, let's talk valuation. How well will Donaldson stock go over the next 5 years, and how safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
I said 5 to 10%. I gave it a 6 for safety. And it's a very solid business. Growth is slow. I really don't see how it's worth 27 times earnings, if I'm being totally honest. I feel it's safe in the sense that you're unlikely to lose money over the next 5 years, but I also think it's highly unlikely to beat the market. Maybe Travis can tell me if I'm missing something.
Well, we have the same return expectations. My safety score is a little bit higher at 8. You're right, the multiple looks high. I looked at the forward price to earnings multiple, which is about 20. Now, the interesting thing here is, at least over the past decade, which is the data that I had available, their forward price to earnings multiple has never been under 15. So this is one of those companies, and kind of fit in this industrial space where it's just not going anywhere. The thing that I'll add is they're not being disrupted by lower cost products coming from China, at least from a macro perspective. So yeah, the growth rate may not be great, but they're not in decline, which is, maybe this is part of my background, but that's what we've seen with a lot of these US manufacturers. So I think it is worth a premium. It's still going to be around 10, 15 years from now, 5 to 10% return expectations, and probably a little safer stock than the market. If that has its place in your portfolio, this is one to consider.
Thank you to both Travis and to Matt. They've given Donaldson a solid overall score of 7.2 out of 10 with strong fundamentals. Solid is probably the word. We probably used it a bunch here. There are no top hits from either Matt or Travis, but it's one that, hey, you know what? This is one of those, if the stock falls for any reason, it could be really interesting. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Woodward. Till then, Fool on. When you think about it, Travis, he's never met a company that he doesn't think is being disrupted. And Matt, you're the king of, everyone thinks this is going to get disrupted, but
I completely disagree.
It's not shocking to me that you two would differ, given